My boyfriend's care left me 2,000 in credit card debt and struggling to pay 900 in medical bills. When I expressed my worries, he said, "We can use the 20 I was saving." I love his adventurous spirit, but can I survive this relationship intact? We have been together for 6 years, starting off as friends with benefits and gradually transitioning into partners to the point of considering wedding rings. I am a very anxious person and most likely autistic. I may be understanding to the point of being a doormat. He is a very outgoing individual, most likely has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and comes from a large family of talkers. We met after I relocated to a new state where I had no friends, and we started seeing each other almost every weekend. I have some trauma from a pedophilic relationship I was involved in during high school and college with a 25-year-old man. After 4 years together, he cheated on me with someone younger and smaller because I was too focused on my studies. I regret meeting him because I am still trying to heal and figure out what is too much or too little when it comes to my own needs and wants. I moved to another state to begin anew and subsequently met my current boyfriend. Initially, our relationship was rocky since I identify as female-to-male non-binary and he is a gay cisgender man. We kept our relationship vague because I do not possess certain physical attributes that he desires, yet he still chose to be with me. At one point, he started seeing a guy who ended up giving us both sexually transmitted infections. My mother still does not forgive him for that. However, I do not have many friends, and he has been supportive in other ways, such as helping me with my mental health. He is a caring and compassionate person. He has served as a shoulder for others to cry on, including myself, and he has his own issues with family and past mental health hospital visits. I know he always means well. 2 years ago, he encouraged me to come out of my shell more. I was a basement-dwelling MMORPG gamer after moving, and we moved in together. He was being evicted by his landlord, who decided to sell the home unexpectedly and gave him a month to vacate. I was feeling lonely and overwhelmed while living with my parents. We found a lovely place and I feel fortunate, but it seems that ever since we moved in and started spending nearly every moment together instead of just weekends, things have changed. Our activities together have become less frequent, as has our intimacy, despite having our own home and having discussed our interests. I used to spend more freely since I did not have rent or other expenses. I contributed to groceries and household chores in exchange for living with my parents. But since moving in together, I have become more frugal. We still attended expos and events together, enjoyed ourselves, and bought some items here and there, always sticking to a budget. About a year ago, I had to undergo an MRI because my health has been declining, and I have been unable to pay my medical bills, worrying about the cost of addressing my health issues. We also experienced our first winter together, and our electric bill exceeded what we could afford. He encouraged me to get a credit card, and after months of discussions, I finally did so to help manage our bills. The electric, internet, and home bills are in his name, so I am not actively aware of that information. I obtained a decent credit card, the first credit card I have owned, with good credit since I had not used credit much, and we managed to pay some bills. At some point, he kept asking to use the credit card for expenses such as lunches at work and extra money for snacks. I made a point not to spend money on the credit card unless it was for bills or emergencies, but despite my reluctance, I was lax about this a few months after acquiring the card. I consented to some purchases he wanted, but he eventually maxed out the card in my name, and I am now trying to make at least the minimum payments. I earn slightly more than he does. I also work in a warehouse, which is physically demanding, but only by $4 per hour, so I have been allowing him to borrow money from me periodically. He has bought me things even when I did not request them, as his love language is gift-giving, and I appreciate that he thinks of me and cares about my happiness. However, I feel like we are becoming increasingly indebted when I cannot even make a payment on my medical bills. I mention this not as a confirmed issue, but to provide more transparency about the situation. My emotions regarding it are another matter. We reopened our relationship to be polyamorous. A few months in, I attempted to find someone who might help me financially, but also someone who could support me when my boyfriend was unavailable, particularly for intimacy, as my boyfriend had ceased initiating it, and no matter what I did, it did not progress further. Things did not go far, and I only met one man before deciding to stop dating. He met a few men, and now 6 months later, his boyfriend, a 23-year-old male, is living with us. His family was trying to evict him, and we offered him shelter. I have helped finance their outings when my boyfriend could not afford to, and I have been buying groceries that only feed them. Since he moved in, things have felt off. He loves going out because he experiences something akin to cabin fever. He continuously seeks activities, but most either cost money, such as bowling or skating, or any outing really, even certain parks for walking, or they relate to expenses in a way that makes me feel inadequate, like window shopping. I detest wasting gas and time going to a store to look at products I want but cannot afford, only to leave empty-handed. Therefore, I declined some invitations and have explained my reasoning, but he has begun taking his boyfriend out for those activities instead. We established designated days for each relationship, yet it feels like I am losing so much despite my efforts to communicate. Going out costs money, and I literally cannot afford to do so. I have cut down on personal expenses and have been relying on cereal for lunch as it is economical. Yet I observe my boyfriend engaging in activities, spending his money on gym memberships that cost $180 while we possess a bench and other home equipment, ordering takeout frequently, and subscribing to services without my consent, which has put me in the negative financially. I have attempted to discuss my financial concerns with him. I have $2,000 in credit card debt and $900 in medical bills. These amounts are merely for monitoring. My health issues have not been addressed as the procedures needed for my teeth and spine will cost thousands. I am troubled by the fact that he conceals purchases from me, which greatly upsets me. Today is our planned outing. I use the term outing loosely, as it is just a couple of hours at a store painting with a group, not an intimate excursion like he enjoys with his boyfriend over 2 full days, and I literally cannot afford it. My next bill payment is due in a few days and it will overdraw my account. I have not been able to settle my medical bills for months and was late this month for the first time with my credit card payment. He expresses a desire to spend time with me, which I appreciate and cherish, but I feel as though I am never going to recover financially. My mental state is decent, but I am genuinely falling apart because I cannot even afford to get a haircut. Yet when I express uncertainty about going today, he responds, "Okay, I understand. We can pay for it next week. She doesn't mind. I would prefer to go anyway to get our time together, but I understand if you do not wish to. If you really do not want to go, I will probably go to the gym, to be honest." Referring to the store owner and implicitly stating that gym is something for him and his boyfriend. He continues, "I have $20 in cash I was saving, but we can use that tonight. I do not know what else to say regarding money. We are trying, and if we stop doing things like this class altogether, we will drive ourselves crazy. If you want to go, then we need to go, you know what I mean. I have not been able to save any funds since it has gone toward housing and bills. I am unsure how to approach this situation. I still love him and care for him, and I believe he feels the same about me. But I cannot endure him questioning why I cannot manage my health when the money I attempt to save for it is just diverted to him. Summary, our relationship has been struggling romantically after moving in together as well as financially. I have health issues that he has expressed concern about, yet any extra money I possess goes toward his unpaid bills, his portion, and repaying a credit card I obtained on his suggestion to help us manage our finances. He is a good person but struggles with money management, and no matter how often I bring it up, he does not adhere to a plan. Instead, he prefers going out and doing things with another consenting romantic partner because he feels he might go stir crazy. How do I discuss my concerns about debt and my desire to improve our spending habits when he insists that he needs to engage in activities, such as attending classes and maintaining a gym membership, to alleviate his feelings of confinement at home? Story 2. My girlfriend asked for space after I caught trust issues from her past. "I love us, but I need to breathe," she said, leaving me torn. Am I about to sign our relationship's death warrant by respecting her wishes, or should I make one last stand? I will attempt to be as concise as possible while providing ample detail for proper feedback. I 22 male and my girlfriend 24 female have been in a relationship for 10 months. It has been beautiful to say the least on both sides. She is lovely, kind, compassionate, and very affectionate toward me and my 3-year-old son. She gets along wonderfully with my family and I get along well with hers too. We have never raised our voices at each other. We communicate effectively and always address our problems together. I can confidently say that until recently, we had no real issues. About 5 weeks ago, I discovered an incident involving a coworker of ours that occurred long before we met, perhaps 2 years ago, give or take. To clarify, they did not engage in a sexual relationship. They went on only 2 dates and he pursued her for about a year while married, which ended in his wife divorcing him. While this situation is not significant to me, and I am not one to judge anyone's past, I had specifically asked her more than 7 or 8 times if anything had ever happened concerning this particular coworker. I was not feeling threatened, but ever since he learned that she and I were together, his attitude toward me drastically changed. He shifted from friendly and talkative to curt, making pointed and peculiar remarks about my girlfriend. This behavior unsettled me, and I directly asked her if there was any way she could help me understand the sudden shift. She never indicated that there was an issue and insisted that nothing ever occurred. However, it turned out that another person suspected something had happened, and ultimately I pressed her further because my intuition suggested that there was more to the story. It turned out to be minor, as I mentioned, but it significantly damaged the trust I had built in her. I decided to end the relationship and let things settle. Up until this point, I had never experienced anxiety attacks or knots in my stomach, aside from drinking too much coffee. However, that night I felt ill, as if I had gone too far and was genuinely walking away from something that could be mended. I dismissed those feelings and refrained from reaching out. She pursued me persistently for 3 to 4 days and even broke down at work multiple times because of it. Finally, 4 weekends ago, approximately 4 to 5 days after this incident, she met me after work and gave me a very long letter. I was astonished by everything she expressed. She held nothing back, admitted her wrongdoing, and never made excuses for her actions. After genuinely believing I had made a mistake and praying about it, I decided to take gradual steps toward reconciliation. Everything was going well. She fulfilled all her commitments and promises and truly opened up about everything I needed to know that could potentially hurt me in the future, which was nothing I did not already know. This period lasted a while and was positive, but every day I found myself silently questioning her. I did not express my concerns, but I gradually realized that I still did not trust her. I did not fully believe everything she said and often felt like I was searching for excuses to justify my doubts. Ultimately, I made the decision to end things last night after we agreed to spend today together and then head to work on Saturday from my place. When I sent the text, I remained polite but direct about my waning trust and my belief that I could not continue this relationship. However, I still loved her deeply. About 35 minutes later, she began calling me frantically, stating she was at my house and asking to come in. I welcomed her, and we sat in silence for a while until the quiet became unbearable. She pleaded with me to give her a chance to prove that everything she had said was true and sincere. While I genuinely love her, I was hesitant to take such a significant leap of faith after having already done so once and having it broken. After a few hours of respectful conversation, we agreed to take the leap together. I promised not to attempt to leave again, given that I was still hurting, and she committed to being honest and transparent to help rebuild our relationship. She then spent the night, planning to go home in the morning to pack a bag and continue with our plans, which would have taken a maximum of 2 hours. When she got home, she went silent. Then she sent me a very surprising text stating that she deeply loved me and our relationship, but did not want to continue a cycle of repetition that we seemed to be starting. I requested to meet, and she agreed. It turned out that upon returning home, her sister had a conversation with her about the concerns surrounding her frantic and late departures to my house 3 times in the past month to ensure that we did not break up. When we met, she explained that she needed space and wanted to be able to breathe, feeling as though she was begging me to love and trust her. We both have completely different responses to this specific issue. Hers is to cling tighter, while mine is to walk away quickly and without warning. I recognize that I have also erred by not giving her a reason to trust that I will not walk away again, having previously promised not to but abruptly leaving one night and then agreeing again to take that leap of faith. The part I need advice on is her request for space. She did not ask for a break or to end the relationship, just some time apart. She requested that we keep each other's locations on, set rules to remain exclusive, and trust that our loyalty will not falter during this period. She agreed that we would maintain some normalcy, such as being our usual selves at work, occasional text exchanges, and maybe spending a few hours each week dining out or visiting the park. She was not very specific about a time frame, but mentioned that she thought it would be best to take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks to determine the best strategies and tactics for repairing our relationship before resuming things and putting an end to this cycle. I agreed, albeit reluctantly, and have once again become a bundle of anxiety. She has never given me a reason to doubt her loyalty, only her trust, but asked that we refrain from texting for at least the first 48 hours to allow us both to relax and breathe. In my view, I do not see this as particularly healthy, since communication in addressing the issue together is the common goal, rather than ignoring the problem and each other. I also think we both have cracks in our foundation of trust for different reasons that this break may not repair. Am I wrong in believing that we might be signing the relationship's death warrant? I also intend to wait until first contact to communicate with her, but have considered writing a letter conveying all my thoughts, feelings, and strategies to clarify that this is not one-sided, and that I want this just as badly as she does. Does this sound like a poor idea? I did at one point ask for space after the initial breakup, which lasted the 3 to 4 days I mentioned earlier, to which she sadly agreed. When I reinitiated contact and reintegrated some normality into our lives, that is when she delivered the letter she had written on the first day of the breakup. Should I allow the silence and give her the space she has requested? Should I make one last effort to establish healthy repair strategies with her and continue moving forward? Should I quietly or verbally let this relationship go? To reiterate, I do not doubt the love and daily commitment we share. She was very emotional when requesting time and seemed to be genuinely hurting at the start of the conversation, but also appeared extremely optimistic, believing this would benefit us. By proving to each other that I can trust her words and she can trust my commitment, we would flourish. She also agreed with my perspective that this alone would not resolve our issues, but that it could be a starting point. Nevertheless, I have a slight feeling that while her emotions were sincere, the suggested solutions to our problems seemed rehearsed and not genuinely aligned with her personal desires. This approach appeared to contradict our entire relationship thus far and the way we ordinarily resolve our issues. I apologize for the length of this message, and I appreciate any responses and feedback in advance.